What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. Today, we're talking about Sentient Wrath, the newest Helminth ability given to us by Caliban, the frame that came from the new war. So, before we get into it and go over this ability and how we're using on Sevagoth, because it's actually pretty good on Sevagoth, make sure you're subbed to the channel, and make sure you check out the live stream channel as well to see when we go live stream. We'll be live on Twitch later today, guys. Alright, so Sentient Wrath. This is the ability from Caliban where you stomp on the ground and release an energy wave in all directions. This energy wave has some pretty interesting properties to it, and it also will, after stunning the enemies, it will also give them a damage debuff. So upon popular request, I've started to summon in some Drekar Manic Bombards, which apparently you guys think are pretty tanky, so we'll just show how it works on them, and we'll also show the functionality of this ability. Some things to keep in mind before you start modding for this is, first off, farming Caliban is annoying. So getting a second one might be out of the question for quite a while for some people. Most people, actually. And on Sevagoth specifically, it actually has a pretty nice synergy with his first ability, Reap, which will give a damage debuff. Sentient Wrath also gives a damage debuff. So we've got double damage debuffs on here, and they scale with strength. Another nice thing is, since you want to mod for strength on Sevagoth for Gloom, it also makes it so you can slow enemies down even more. So depending on how much strength you run, you'll be doing even more damage, and you'll be slowing the enemies down even more. They just become slugs pretty much. Since there are some bugs with Sentient Wrath, we actually decided to subsume off Sevagoth's shadow form, where you'll basically turn to shadow mode and pull enemies in, just because there's bugs with these guys getting ragdolled around. So let's just show how this works, because this ability, let's start getting into the good things of this ability. This ability is homing. It is a homing CC skill that goes through walls. So let's just cast it like right here. And you'll see at the elevation level I'm at, we're below them pretty much. I cast Sentient Wrath, it goes upwards and hunts them down. And with this much power strength, we basically CC the entire group of enemies. Now you'll notice that the waves that go in this direction aren't going upwards because there's no enemies to hunt down. These things go through walls and will hunt enemies down very aggressively. And since that's a damage debuff, and we're going to be double debuffing them, let's just show the Steel Path gameplay. How about that? So, with two types of debuffs, you are doing big damage, and since we've subsumed off Shadow Form, we can actually even go for some true damage that's enhanced by damage debuffs as well. So the second ability from Sevagoth will do a true damage over time, and then when you hit enemy with your first ability, Reap, it will cause a percent health damage explosion in the area. That is blast damage, though, unfortunately, and blast damage is not the best. So, your best bet's probably going to be use Sentient Wrath, stun enemies in the area, and then use Reap, your ghost attack, and that will just make it so you're doing crazy damage. Some other nice things about Sentient Wrath. The damage debuff portion of it does appear to work on Acolytes. And also, Reap's debuff works on Acolytes. So if you ever have problems one-shotting Acolytes, this is a way you could do that. Now, technically, you could just run Ensnare and CC them in place and just, destroy them that way. But this is, an option as well. Ensnare, you can't really cast through walls. And Ensnare doesn't really have a damage debuff on it either. So this is a unique type of ability. I'd say it's kind of similar to Breach Surge a little bit, but Breach Surge is much better for damage, where I'd say this is much better for CC. But, like we were saying earlier, since you want to mod for power strength, it's actually very, very important to mod for power strength with this ability specifically, because if you don't have a lot of power strength, guys, this ability is actually pretty bad, because not only does the damage debuff scale with power strength, but the amount of enemies that you can hit with this ability scales with power strength. So with 100% power strength, neutral, you hit 16 enemies at max, and they'll be CC'd and debuffed. If you have negative power strength, that goes down to like 3 enemies. So don't run this on Speed Nova. Don't run this on any negative power strength build. It's just not worth it at all. You'll still technically CC like 2 or 3 enemies, but I feel like you can get more bang for your buck doing something else. So this ability wants lots of stats. So range, duration kind of, power strength. Power strength and range are the two most important on this ability, just because it gives you more enemies affected and more damage debuff, and the range lets you cover more area, so it's covering the entire room pretty much. As far as efficiency, I think you do want a little bit of efficiency just because you don't usually cast this many abilities on Sevagoth, and this is a somewhat ability-heavy playstyle right here, where we're using Gloom, which drains energy over time. We're using Sentient Wrath, which you're casting pretty often, and you're also using Reap, which will be cast somewhat regularly as well. And if you really want to use for the extra true damage and like healing and all that, you could technically do that as well. As far as other frames that are good with Sentient Wrath, There's actually quite a few, but the thing is, like, first off, you're probably not going to have a second Caliban for a long time. I know that I couldn't take the reskin bounties anymore. I bought them. Expect a rant video on the post-New War content coming very soon, by the way. But yeah, I could not stand it anymore. I bought all the weapons. I bought the frame. I'm just like, these are 2017 bounties in 2021. What is going on here? But that's besides the point. We'll talk about that later. As far as getting this, I don't think it's worth really subsuming or getting a second Caliban specifically for this. If you want effects similar to this, maybe just go for like Breach Surge. If you get a second Wisp, I'd say getting a second Wisp is much easier than getting a second Caliban. And you know, there's really lots of like Ensnare's annoying when they get to, but I'd say Ensnare is more useful than this. It's just more of a for fun thing if you want to like do bigger damage and you're not caring much about CCing an Acolyte. Because it gives you more damage against Acolytes. But at the same time, Roar would do the same thing. But this has, like I said, this CC's enemies. It has some uses over Roar. And, you know, Roar doesn't double apply slash rock. So it's not like a meta new Helminth option, to be honest. I'd still say your best stuff is still going to be like the Ensnares, the Glooms, the Roars, stuff like that. But this is a fun option. I do like how it watches your back, too, because it goes in all directions. If you don't know if there's an enemy behind you, just cast Sentient Wrath, and if he was behind you, he's stunned now. So that's something you could do. Now, let's talk a little bit more about some bugs of this ability. Now, specifically, one of the reasons we took off Shadow Form is because, you know, in Shadow Form, you're usually using Shadow Pull to pull enemies in. When an enemy is lifted or crowd controlled or whatever by this ability, Sentient Wrath, there's lots of things that cannot be done to them. For example, we're going to show you right now, I wanted to use this on Grendel, just because it's fun to stomp under the ground and like release a shockwave. We're going to show why this is not good with Grendel. Another fun thing about this ability is like when you jump up and you press the button, you stomp down. That's part of the fun. But let's see where the fun ends for Grendel. Now that these guys are CC'd by Sentient Wrath, we can actually not eat them with Grendel. And there's other abilities too that will not work when the enemies are CC'd like this. So you need to be pretty careful. I have not tested every single frame in the game yet with this, but I can tell you for a fact that there are definitely certain things that do not work. Sevagoth Shadow Pull is one of them. Grendel Eating is one of them as well. Let's just quickly show the Sevagoth build. Like I said, you can definitely, there's lots of room for personal preference here. If you want to go for more efficiency or even more strength, there's a dash polarity here for you, where you can maybe put Streamline in this slot. Or maybe you think the cast speed of Sentient Wrath is terrible, you can put Natural Talent in there. If you want even more damage, because lol, you can put Augur Secrets there for even more damage debuffing, giving you a 70% on the Sentient Wrath and 100% on the Reap. So let's quickly show it against these Bombards with no Galvanized stacks on the Kuvazar with a Toxin roll and a Hunter Munitions build. Gotta kill them first, apparently. Alright, so let's just show it with all the stuff. We've also got a Panzer Cat for increased viral procs as well. So Gloom just because I have to, and then we're going to stomp them, and then they're double debuffed. Now they're double debuffed, it should be pretty juicy. Looks like we've killed at least one of them with that shot with no Galvanized stacks. Actually, we killed 4 of them, it seems like. We'll do it again just because I want to, and then we'll debuff them again. And there's the big damage, one-shots all over the place. And yeah, that's with not even that much strength, to be honest. So other frames that can do this, Nezha Prime, or like normal Nezha, I guess, has that debuffing skill, Reaping Chakram, I believe it's called. That can be pretty good. I could see Baruch using this pretty well just because Baruch can punch through walls. And here's a big problem. Like this is a downside potentially with the ability, is that it will CC enemies through walls. This is homing CC and debuffing that goes through walls. There's potential you mess the mission up for your teammates. So let's say I'm just like spamming Sentient Wrath all over the place. Like I'm like, I don't even care like where enemies are. I have no enemy radar equipped. There's probably like 20 enemies stuck and stunned behind the wall that you have no idea even exist. So you potentially could make the mission worse if you do not have enemy radar stacked up, if you don't have AoE weapons like the Kuvazar, the Kuva Brahma, etc. You need to basically be conscious of these enemies, where they are. There's a Butcher right there. I didn't even know. I had to destroy the Butcher. So that is one of the downsides of this ability. It's potential of enemies just being stuck in hallways somewhere, crowd controlled, you didn't even know they existed. So yeah, hopefully you guys found this video helpful. More Sentient Wrath videos will probably be coming soon. Like other frames I like in this are like Nova, Wukong seems pretty good. Of course, Caliban with Gloom is pretty much the same thing, but like slightly different, where instead of, you know, having a double debuff, you have armor removal, which could potentially be okay. But I think Caliban is still kind of bugged, so I'm going to wait on some changes and reworks on him, which he will be getting. But just keep in mind, I'm pretty sure DE is on vacation right now, so however Caliban is right now, that'll probably be how he is for like the next month. So The permanent armor removal on Demolist thing is probably a bug just because no other ability in the game does that. So I wouldn't hang on to that too dearly, to be honest. There's plenty of bugs in the game, for good ones and bad ones, honestly. Like, the game keeps mini crashing for me all the time, which I really don't like. But yeah, this ability is fun. As far as, like, you know, you could take off the 2 if you wanted to. If you wanted to run Shadow Form still, I wouldn't blame you. But there are times you can definitely, like, you can kill Steel Path Grenadier with the debuff from the 4, or rather debuff from Sentient Wrath, debuff from Reap, and then the true damage % health explosion with Viral Procs. It can kill them. It's not really the focus of the build. The SO is basically just there to mark enemies through walls and give us some reliable healing with damage over time with Gloom. So, hope you guys found this video helpful. I will see you in the next one. Expect that rant video coming out very soon. I was really tired a couple days ago. I should have made it earlier, but this post-quest content is unacceptable. So, yeah. I don't think anything's going to really change, but we'll see. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.